So what causes more fat gain? Carbohydrates or fats? The simple answer is you cannot gain fat unless you're in a calorie surplus, which means you're eating more calories than what your body is consuming. It's as simple as that. That's the first and foremost fact about nutrition that everybody needs to understand. We all know that protein is the most important macronutrient. It is what allows you to build muscle and to repair damaged tissues. It's absolutely essential to survive, to live, and to have your optimal function. And fats to some extent are also essential because it is important for your hormonal function, for absorption of nutrients and all of those vital body functions. But carbohydrates are not essential. Your body can survive without carbohydrates, hence the ketogenic diet. It works for some people, wherein when you limit the amount of carbohydrate intake on a daily basis over a long period of time, your body eventually adapts to using fat as your primary source of energy. That doesn't mean that you lose more body fat by consuming less carbohydrates or taking in more fats. It all comes down to many other important factors which I'll get into in this video, and I promise you this, by the end of this video you'll have a complete clear picture about what you should do. Should you have a high carbohydrate diet or a high fat diet? That being said, a high protein diet is absolutely recommended for anybody that wants to be healthy, that wants to be fit and wants to optimize their performance. So without any further ado, let's get started with this video right now. First, let's talk about carbohydrates. Like I said, carbohydrates are not essential, but they can help improve your performance, especially if you're someone that lives an active lifestyle, you move around a lot, or you're an athlete who demands high performance. In that case, carbohydrates are very important. Why? Because taking in carbohydrates helps replenish and recover your glycogen stores. Glycogen is simply another form of energy that is present in your muscles, and it's also present in your liver. And if you want to do any sort of intense physical activity, glycogen is very important. That is why you need to include carbohydrates in your diet. Also, the second reason why you should include carbohydrates in your diet is that carbohydrates have a muscle sparing property. So when you take in any sort of food, right, it contains fats, carbohydrates and protein, three different macronutrients. When you consume more carbohydrates, it spares the amount of protein that is being used and broken down for energy, and then the protein can be used for what it's truly worth. That is for muscle protein synthesis, to recover and build damaged tissue. That is the entire purpose of protein, which is why it is important. So consuming good amounts of carbohydrate can help spare some of that protein. That's very important, especially important when you're on a low calorie diet. When you're cutting, when you don't have much calories to spare, you're eating limited quantities of food, carbohydrates can help spare muscle protein. And also 1 gram of carbohydrate contains just 4 calories, whereas 1 gram of fat contains 9 calories. That's more than twice the amount of calories. That being said, fats are more satiating, it fills you up a little bit more. So yeah, even small quantities of fat can help you stay fuller for longer, but it comes at a cost of high calories. So if you are on a restricted calorie diet, you cannot afford to eat too much fats. And now let's talk about fats. I told you it's essential for hormonal function and to absorb nutrients, and that's true. You need at least 15% of your total daily calories coming from fats. And what kind of fats should you consume? Obviously, we all know that trans fats are bad. It's horrible for your body, and that's what increases the risk of heart diseases and so many other issues as you get older and older, and it can lead to obesity, so on and so forth. There are 3 types of fats. First is saturated fats, which your body can produce by itself, so you need not take it from an external source. Then you have unsaturated fats, which has further 2 categories: polyunsaturated fats and monounsaturated fats. Your body needs polyunsaturated fats. That's what you should focus on, especially omega-3, which is limited in most of our daily food intake. So you should focus on consuming omega-3 either through an external supplement or through consuming fatty fishes. That's what is the best source of fat for you. Also, coming to carbohydrate, what kind of carbohydrates are good for you? Fruits, vegetables, whole grains are all the best sources of carbohydrates. It has fiber, it has other vitamins and minerals, which is good for you. That being said, simple carbohydrates like bread, rice, pasta, so on and so forth, it's not unhealthy for you. It is still healthy, you can still consume it, but keep in mind the right quantity of food is important. It's easy to overconsume white rice, white bread, pasta, that kind of stuff, and that is what leads to issues. By being in a calorie surplus, eating too much quantity, it causes fat gain. Whereas if you eat food that is high in fiber, like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, it's hard to consume it in huge quantities. That is why it makes sure that you're not over consuming just by the nature of how it fills you up. So focus on eating polyunsaturated fats, mainly omega-3, and also fruits, vegetables and whole grains. That should be your main sources of carbohydrates and fats. And the exact ratio of carbohydrates or fats, that comes down to your personal preference. Some people react better to eating high carbohydrate diet, especially if you're more active, you demand physical performance by doing intense physical activity. High carbohydrates is quite important. You can also use it in a cyclical manner, which is commonly known as carb cycling, which means usually 1 week or like 3 days before competition, you consume a lot of carbohydrates so that you can refill your glycogen stores. And when it comes to time for performing, competition time, especially for athletes, that's when you're at your best. You can give it your best effort. So high carb diet is better for people that are more active, and high fat diet can work especially if you're older or you're obese. In older people, what happens is your insulin sensitivity reduces as you get older and older, which is usually what leads to issues like diabetes. When somebody overconsumes carbohydrates chronically throughout their life, when they're old, their body just can't absorb it as well, and their insulin sensitivity is just gone. So in that case, if you're obese or you're old, try consuming more fats and less carbohydrates. It works out better for you. Bottom line is, high carbohydrate diets work for people that are more active in nature, that are athletes, that demand a lot from their body, do intense physical activity, and high fat diets work a little bit better for people that are more sedentary, that might be obese or are older. So make your pick, do some trial and error and figure out what works best for you. For me personally, I typically consume a high fat diet even though I'm more physically active than most people. That's because it's just the kind of foods that I enjoy eating. I eat a lot of whole eggs, dairy products, paneer, milk, stuff like that, which contains a good amount of fat and also protein. It tastes good, so that's what works for me. I do tend to eat a higher carbohydrate diet when I'm cutting, when I'm low on calories, or when I have to do a lot of cardio, a lot of aerobic based activity like sprinting, running, cycling, swimming, etc. So it depends on what kind of physical demand that I have through my training, and also what my body composition goals are, whether I'm trying to gain weight, gain muscle, or I'm trying to lose fat. It comes down to that. So yes, make sure you find the diet that works for you. Whether you're consuming high fat or high carbohydrate, both of them can work, both of them can keep you healthy and give you the best results. It comes down to your personal preference and the diet that you can be most consistent with. That is all that matters at the end of the day. If you find a diet that you enjoy, that you can be consistent with, you're going to get better results from it in the long term. And that's it for this video. Hopefully I was able to be clear about what you should focus on, high carbohydrate or high diet, provided you're consuming the right amount of calories, you're getting protein, you're getting your essential nutrients, fruits, vegetables, etc., etc. This is something that you should worry about after you're taken care of all of the other stuff. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, comment down below what other content you want me to cover in the future, subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you get all the content notified on time. And lastly, I apologize for the poor audio quality in this video because my mic wasn't working, but I'll be sure to get it sorted as soon as possible. So until next time, take care, stay hungry.